We'll begin this meeting with a call to order, and just before we actually, with also additional roll call, just a couple quick announcements. This meeting will be live tweeted. Marketing and Promotions Director Raveen Rathod wanted me to pass that along to all of you. There are also, I believe, additional copies, although I don't believe enough for everyone in this room, of our agenda right by the boom mic in the storage. Yeah, right there. Okay.
There are two.
Okay, continuing on with our agenda, section B of roll call. I will begin with Senator Christian Arredondo.
Present.
Senator Reem Blake.
Present.
Senator Traylon Bradley Bowles.
Present.
Senator John Dell.
Present.
Senator Fabian Escobedo.
Present.
Senator Ali Isles.
Present.
Senator Jackie Jacoby.
Present.
Senator Colette King. Absent. Senator Delaney Koenig.
Present.
Senator Priscilla Perez.
Present.
Senator Jason Ramirez.
Present.
Senator Herman Senga.
Present.
Senator Summer Schaefer.
Present.
Senator Katharina Seca.
Present.
President Pro Tempore Devin Plazo.
Here.
Personnel Director Ashley Hirano, excused. Elections Director Stephanie Rose.
Present.
Outreach Director Jessica Arquides.
Here.
Senate Secretary Ardelia Chakri, excused. Parliamentarian Momo Hussein.
Present.
Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs Fernando Echeverria.
Present.
Vice President of External Affairs Abraham Galvan.
Present.
Vice President of Finance Iris Shang.
Present.
President Nafi Karim.
Present.
And myself. Okay, continuing on. Did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Marketing and Promotions Director Raveen Rathod. My mistake. Okay, continuing on. Just as a quick notice, because our Senate Secretary is absent, the previous meeting minutes will be distributed at a later time for your all approval. So we'll just have a little patience with that. We'll get them all out to you. Thank you. So continuing on from there, I'd like to move on to Section E of our agenda of ex officios. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Approval of the agenda. So just a quick announcement. We're adding under committee updates, Legislative Review Committee from our President Pro Tempore Devin Plazo. So we'll have that in our we'll make that subsection 3 on Section G. So at this time, I would like to open up the floor to motions to approve or amend the agenda. I think I saw Outreach Director Jessica Arquides.
I need to remove my committee report, just for best timing.
Okay.
But if anyone has any questions regarding outreach, I know there's a few people who did apply for the outreach grant. Y'all can go ahead and contact me, and I can speak to you if you want after the meeting.
All right. Abraham Galvan.
Yeah, I move to move closed session up to after public forum and before committee updates.
All right. Motion to move closed session to after public forum and before committee updates. All right.
Second.
All right. Seconded by Marketing and Promotions Director Raveen Rathod. All those in favor of the amended agenda? All those opposed? And abstain. All right. By a vote of 12-0, the agenda passes. All right, continuing on, I would like to extend to Section E our ex officios. So if there are any ex officios in attendance that would like to speak, please come up, state your name for the minutes purposes, and the floor is yours.
Andres Medrano, CSP, ex officio, Raza Assembly. So, as y'all know, we're in the middle of a Raza, Semana de la Raza. We've already had 2 successful events. You know, there were people I had the pleasure of attending both of them. And as you know, as you guys saw on campus today, was Raza Nooner.
I think the switch is not off right now.
Oh. So the testing. Okay. So the Raza Nooner was today, and I want to thank everyone that attended and bought some food from all the Raza orgs that were selling food. It was tacos, there was sopes, there was paletas, there was all kinds of good food. So thanks to everybody that attended and supported Raza orgs. So continuing on Semana de la Raza, today, for those those in the galley that would like to go after this or would like to leave early. I doubt there's gonna be any of those. But, all right, so today we're having Dewey Tafoya. He's an artist from East LA. He specializes in screen printing. So it's a hands-on workshop to make stencils and art with stencils and make your own shirts. That will be at Bourne's B118 from 6:30 to 8. So if you take your own blank t-shirt, you can make your own shirt with your own design. That's pretty cool. Tomorrow we're going to be having root causes of immigration from Central America and Mexico. That's from 2 to 4 at Hub 355. So it's a panel talking about all the causes about, it's not just immigration because we want to live here, but there's causes behind that. On Friday, 18th annual Radio Aslan Music Festival. The doors will open at 7, and in attendance will be Bandas Tierra, OG Lowrider Band, and so also the 43rd Raza Grad ceremony will be on June 6th, and it's open to all students. You don't have to identify as a Chicano, a Latino, Mexicano. But it is celebrating the fact that Chicanos, Latinos are graduating. So if you'd like to do that, the deadline is May 15th, and you get a Sarape sash, you get 15 tickets for friends and family, and I think that's about it. So yeah, CSP continues to be committed to providing a comfortable environment for anyone that identifies as a Chicano, Latino, Hispano, Mexicano, or anyone else who decides to go in CSP and ask for help or anything they need. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just
Thank
hold
you.
it.
Were there any other ex officios in attendance that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we will move to our next agenda item of public forum. So any members of the public that would like to come forward to speak, please do so now. All right, and the floor is yours. I'm sorry, just state your name for the minutes purposes.
Verna Chan, is it on?
We'll just have to use the recording.
It's on.
Okay. So, here's the thing. I didn't want to believe when I first got involved with these elections, I wanted to think that the best people wouldn't get so dirty and so petty. Clearly, I was wrong. Over this whole thing, I've seen nothing but bias and corruption and political agendas from the Elections Committee and this Senate. You, Abraham, and you, Stephanie, have engineered this whole thing to favor one party. You gave us strikes with no evidence and baseless allegations. You leaked information to ensure one party always had the upper hand. You harassed our candidates, giving them false information to mess with their heads. You had one goal, and you wouldn't let anyone stand in your way. When the justices overturned your biased decisions, you went after them. You gave a trial with no evidence. You removed an entire branch because it didn't fit your agenda. You did this on the same night they were about to investigate you, Abe, and you, Stephanie, and the entire Elections Committee for corruption. Coincidence? Probably not, definitely not. When people in the office called you and this unconstitutional BS out, you tried to censor them. Don't pretend this wasn't anything but your own political agenda. This whole thing has been planned to ensure one party got the election no matter what students voted for. From the beginning, you made your plan to disqualify, and what's more, people overheard you saying it. We know, and the whole student body will know just how corrupt you all are. Stephanie, you're corrupt and clearly favor one party, and everyone knows it. Abe, I'm ashamed of the things you've done to serve your own interests. I'm ashamed that you represent our campus, and I'm ashamed that I once called you my pig.
Not your selection! This is our election! Not your election! This is our election! Not your
Okay.
Do they have to or no?
Can you hear me out?
We still have to continue public comment if they.
Watch right. I'll get up. Mic check! Mic check! No justice is no peace! Everyone go say! No justice is no peace! You know what? Point of order. Jim, can we have them escorted out of here, please? Everybody? This is our election, not your selection. I've adjourned the meeting. The meeting is not going to be adjourned. Can we have everybody escorted out of here, please? This is our election, not your selection. This is our election, not your selection.
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check! Mic check! Understand, when you're taking the voices of Senate, you're not only taking the voices of Senate, you're taking the voices of the entire student body.
Sit down.
Mic check!
Mic check!
Please understand, we understand that everyone has a chance to speak at public comment.
plan.
But in order to continue the meeting, we need everyone to respect the space, respect the speakers, and we greatly appreciate your enthusiastic, whatever participant. We understand you have the freedom to do so, but other people also have the freedom to speak.
All right, I've ejected the galley from this meeting, which means you have to leave, which means the galley. All those disrupting then. All right. What? All right. I've adjourned this meeting for tonight. If it's going to be this disruptive.
Hello? Hey, I just want to say, is this the first time you're at a meeting? If you really care, why is this your first time at a Senate meeting? And I've never seen any of you here.
Can I have your attention, please? Please?
This was a plan. We could have censored this guy.
Wait.
So the meeting gets
It was a plan.
So what I'm going to propose is that the Senate take a moment of recess. What I'd like to do is to have them move up into a room upstairs to just collect their thoughts and decide how this evening is going to proceed. And the one thing that's very clear that is it cannot continue with this level of disruption. So what I would suggest is that we take a 10-minute recess, that we ask the Senate, I have a conference room for you upstairs, to have you collect your thoughts informally, and then the leaders of the protest, what I would suggest is that you sit down, talk with each other as to whether or not you want this meeting to continue or not. It certainly cannot and will not continue as it is. Okay?
We should act like adults. That'd be great.
Is that acceptable to you to take a recess? Let's go upstairs and have a conversation. Okay?
Jim, can you have that really fast? Yeah.
Can you give it to
This meeting will continue, but I will order in this room. I'm not afraid to eject anyone that is disrupting this meeting.
I will do is get some.
Look, everyone, you can be quiet right now because it's very clear what's going on. We're not going to adjourn the meeting so that we can't go into closed session. We're going to do it. We're going to take a recess. We'll be back. If you want to be there and you want to be respectful, then you'll do that. If not, then you're not welcome to come. Don't come.
I don't want. I mean, it's my $1,000 laptop. Holy shit.
You know what you did. Okay.
good plan. Good job.
Anything validates I'm going to try to address everyone as a non-candidate, as a non-AS member, as much as entirety. But I mean, this wasn't really something that, I've got my own, I just wanted to adjust what I intend to say to tie it back to, your rules are 71 promises, and I was asked to end the oversight after my resolution passed, and I've gotten nothing from people who asked me. But yeah, that's, I got that, but if there's
Let's pick up trees and leave.
anything
having a Senate. Let us out. I said multiple. Can you imagine? We better call the pop-up.
Let me get him set up. I want to
That's when you guys are together showing.
And I've never seen anyone of them in I can't even Netflix the show that I was watching the TikTok. I didn't finish it. I never got to finish it.
We'll begin with roll call. Senator Christian Arredondo. Senator Reed Blake. Senator Traylon Bradley Bowles.
Present.
Senator John Dell.
Present.
Senator Fabian Escobedo.
Present.
Senator Ali Isles.
Present.
Senator Jackie Jacoby. Senator Colette King. Senator Delaney Koenig.
Present.
Senator Priscilla Pare.
Present.
Senator Jason Ramirez.
Present.
Senator Herman Senga.
Present.
Senator Summer Schaefer.
Present.
Senator Catherine Azeka.
Present.
Elections Director Stephanie Rose.
Present.
Marketing and Promotions Director Ravine Ratode.
Here.
Outreach Director Jessica Arquidas.
Here.
Personnel Director Ashley Hirano. Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs Fernando Echeverria.
Present.
Vice President of External Affairs Abraham Galvan.
Present.
Executive Vice President Michael Urban. Vice President of Finance Iris Jang.
Present.
President Nafi Karim. Parliamentarian Momo Hussein. And Senate Secretary Ardelia Chakri is excused. Okay, so we'll move on with our item on the agenda, public forum. Before that begins, Fernando will say a few words.
So just as a reminder, as we stated before, if there is a disruption, we want to hear everyone's thoughts. That is not by any means what we don't want to silence you. We want to hear your thoughts. We want you to articulate them because you have all right and all reason to be able to articulate your thoughts. What we don't want is a disruption that leads us to not be able to do our jobs in representing you. So just as a reminder that any disruptions or further actions could lead to student conduct, and you have full authority. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, and the podium's open. And remember, the counseling center information is right here on the whiteboard.
Point of parliamentary procedure. Are we going to be having a time limit on public forum, or is it? I don't know. Just wondering.
As with normal meeting procedures, public forum will be 15 minutes. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. If Senate would like to move to extend the time, they can do so once time is up. But as of right now, please state your name for the purpose of the minutes, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi everyone, my name is Milan Gunordeno. I wanted to thank the senators for staying here because of the fact that you were all very, you had a situation to deal with, obviously, right? I wanted to thank all the members of the galley for being out here. You know, all of your voices are important, all of your voices deserve to be heard, and it's important for you to articulate those, and I appreciate you all being here and talking to your talking to the people who represent you, because I've never seen a Senate meeting, maybe other than divestment, that has had this attendance, so that's incredible. I guess the biggest thing that I'm here to talk about, though, is the way elections have been. You know, for me, I tried my best to run a campaign that was as true to my own core morals and values as it could be, you know. And when I saw that people were manipulating the system, when I saw that people were coercing students, it made me, you know, it's frustrating and it's disheartening to see that. And, you know, I appreciate that the elections committee and the senators have stepped up. They are doing something about it. And I want you to know that there's a whole bunch of students who stand with you. They might not all be able to talk and be here in front of you all, like I am, but they stand with you. They stand with your actions. They stand with justice. They stand with transparency and equality. And they are here in spirit, and they care for what you do, and they appreciate it. Thank you.
Use the mic or
Whatever.
I prefer not to, if you all don't mind. Okay, so, good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Amal Ali not representing anyone, just here to talk. So, last year I co-authored a controversial resolution that was put up in Senate, and of course the nature of which doesn't really pertain to the discussion today. And it passed in ASUCR. Now, it passed the Wednesday of elections week of last year, right? And after it passed, I was contacted privately by both presidential candidate Nafi Karim and executive vice presidential candidate Michael Irvin, personally to let me know, hey, since we supported your resolution, we'd really love it if you could roll out the support for our campaign in these last 2 days of elections. The last 2 days are make or break. And of course, you know, I obliged. They scratched my back, I want to scratch theirs. There was an advocating for a progressive slate that advocated for accessibility, for transparency, and for accountability, which is great. But I mean, let's talk about those things for a quick second. Nafi's failed to be in attendance for the majority of the Senate meetings that I've attended. That's not accountability. The justices appointed this year weren't appointed according to ASUCR bylaws, and it involved a closed session meeting, including only Nafi, Michael, and Iris. That's not transparent. Nafi failed to appoint the 6th justice that would have fixed the quorum issue when we reached this point today with the 2 justices that have been dismissed. And none of the promises that were made by the president and the EVP, except for maybe the Argyr campaign, and we don't even know if that's been a fulfilled promise since we still don't know if those were sweatshirt-free sweatshirts. None of those have been kept. I built a trust in these 2 individuals, and I'm coming to you as someone who doesn't have a position in AS, someone who hasn't had a need to really engage with AS individually, but has trusted this system because you all advocated for something progressive, for something that would advocate for students like me who don't necessarily need to be in this space. I built a trust in this, and I haven't gotten much out of this, and neither have the students who have actually tried to access this office. So for the senators, the voting senators, I understand that there's going to be a motion before you later tonight to censure Michael Irvin and Nafi Karim. As a student that you represent, I urge you and I beg you wholeheartedly, please vote yes on that censorship.
I'll allow one comment.
Oh, is there
Okay, so something that I have felt the need to do for a while now and haven't done is issue a public apology to the student body. And the reason why I want to apologize is because last year I ran on the party your side, and we said that our platform was pride, platform, pride, progress, and empowerment. This is our election. I'll remind you that there's a student conduct. If you would like student conduct to proceed, anyway. I'll continue. Last year I ran with the party your side. Our platforms were pride, progress, and empowerment. We were considered the progressive party running in the elections. We had support from the statewide progressive coalition. The reason why we had that support was in large part because I advocated and I legitimized a lot of the individuals that were running with me. I need to apologize for that because I should have done a better job at evaluating every single candidate that was running with me. I should have done a better job at considering the platforms. I should have done a better job at scrutinizing the care for the organization that those individuals had, and I didn't do that. And to that, before I even entered office, I failed a lot of you, and I want to say I'm so incredibly sorry for that. Thank you.
If you're gonna talk, make a line.
Yeah, so I just want to say my name is Johnson Pham. I'm a second-year linguistics student, and I use they pronouns. First of all, I want to say I fully support you, and I think that you should scream as much as you want. Because if anything, as an organizer, I've been in that position where I've gone to rooms and screamed and yelled at administration. Sorry, well, I'm not really sorry, but anyway, you have the right to your voice. You have the right to say whatever you want. But I want to make the distinction. What you're saying isn't based on the student movement. It isn't based on the collective student interest. It's based on your own self-interest. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, outside the Students of Service building, I was attacked by a man who pointed a gun at me and tried to rob me. Up until this point, I have never felt an atmosphere or an environment that was so hostile and aggressive until now. I very strongly even reconsider even going here, but I want to make some things very clear. This is addressed to our elections director, Stephanie, and Abe, who is part of the elections committee. Last week when I spoke to you, I said that I would be very surprised, thoroughly surprised, if there was any action taken against any individuals or any parties who would, want to destroy the legitimacy of our elections by laptopping or cheating. I did not think for a moment that any of you would do anything because of the coercion through administration, the coercion through the manipulation and corruption that has been facilitated by our own student body president and our executive vice president. I didn't think that you would do anything. So a few days ago when I noticed that an entire party has been disqualified over allegations of laptopping and cheating, I was so surprised I cried. Because that never happens. No one ever disqualifies an entire party based on cheating because the thing is, a lot of times when people cheat, when people use money for elections, they win. And that's just a fact. So the fact that you had the conviction and you know that these assholes would do this, despite this, you did the right decision, I applaud you for it. I want you to know that if I had known this elections would be anything like this, I would have been, no thank you, I don't want to run for Senate. But now I know that there isn't really a choice. Because if the choice is to let people who would rather use money, use their affiliations with our student body president, or executive vice president, the administration, what have you, in order to get a position, I don't want them to be in office. I would rather have me being here in a galley, struggling to keep my mental health intact, just to represent these students, because I know that the party behind me who are shouting don't have the collective student interest at heart. And that's where it stands. You got disqualified because of allegations of cheating. Argue that. Don't attack these people who were actually elected by student officials. That's the distinction. If you cared about the Senate meetings, if you cared about how our student government is run, this wouldn't be the first time I see all of you. That's all I have to say.
Please remember to direct all comments towards the chair. No personal attacks. Please direct them. Yeah. Okay. Just remember. You have 4 minutes left in public forum.
Hi. So, I'm used to be a theater major, so I still like theater, and I'm really good at public speaking. But this is really hard for me, so bear with me, everybody. As you know, if you know me, I ran with your side last year. I didn't run particularly, but I helped a particular individual, and I want to publicly say I'm really sorry for what I did. I'm sorry. But aside from that, Abe, you're doing a great job. I stand behind you. Stephanie, I stand behind you. Everyone, I stand behind you. I helped most of you guys be here today, and I know what you guys stand for. I know that you guys have been trying your hardest to keep up to what we have been holding to. And when I stood up trying to run with that same party the same year, and then getting kicked out, I was so upset because you guys are my friends, but aside from that, it's one particular person that I was really upset with. And I'm not going to say names because everybody knows who I'm talking about. But for being kicked out because he says I'm not qualified, I'm here today, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I want to make this a better place, And he's not doing what he thinks that I wasn't able to do. And clearly, that's obvious. So I also want to say, please vote yes on getting him out, because I can't do this anymore. I can't stand here and see what's happening, because you guys are good people. And to work with someone like that, that's not right. It's really not right. And guys, really, can we just have a good student-run government? Because this might all go away. So please, just contain yourselves. Thank you.
There's 2 minutes left in public forum.
I move to add 20 minutes to public forum.
I second that. So motion by Jessica, motion by Herman, second by Jessica. All those in favor? Opposed? And abstained?
Funny part, do you vote in this? Are you supposed to abstain?
She's
chairing. You're supposed to abstain.
I abstained, 11-02. Okay, so you have 3 minutes, and public forum is extended by 20 minutes. Go ahead and state your name.
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, everyone, my name is Arturo Gomez, second-year political science major. Well, before I begin, I would also like to note the fact that people standing behind me are chanting about being cheated when they try to cheat. And I'd also like to point out that this is tantamount to a temper tantrum when mommy and daddy don't get them their Cadillac or their nice little Ferrari because, oh, the tax credit didn't come in. But that's not what I'm going to talk about right now. What I'm going to talk about right now is integrity. I'm going to talk about integrity because there's clearly none in the executive cabinet. Now, I was optimistic around this time last year when your side won. Even though I didn't run in your side, I felt that, hey, a left-leaning party won. Let's see some things get done. Hopefully it'll be pragmatic. Hopefully, we'll see some good advocacy, some good governing. All we got was 2-ply and a $50,000 sweater program. So, where's the advocacy? Where is the, where's the integrity? I don't know. And the fact that they're now trying to steal this election is just disgusting. I would rather have lost a fair race against our voice than to be cheated out of it. And I find it sick that people are trying to subvert the democratic process just so they can get something nice on their resume. I don't think that's fair. I think that just amounts to one big clusterfuck. So yeah, I have nothing else to say, so I really hope the rest of you enjoy your night, get some rest. Nobody deserves to be in this hostile space. And yeah, have fun.
Yeah, we have a minute left. Arturo, if you could come back, there's a comment. There's a minute left.
Yes.
So my comment was regarding, I know you had mentioned the past party and you had only stated that, you were only able to receive just the 2-ply toilet paper and the sweaters. There were more people that ran on that party, and unfortunately they have carried on that same name of running with that party, but know that there are more people on this horseshoe that are a part of that party that were able to do more things than just the 2-ply toilet paper and the sweaters. Just recognize that. I know it wasn't an attack.
That wasn't an attack on anybody, but thank you for bringing it up.
Way to go, Dave. I love you too.
I turned off my bed.
Hi, my name is Arlene Angulo. I am a third-year political science major, and I wanted to address the fact that earlier these past few weeks I tried to talk to my current executive vice president about an issue about the integrity, and he totally dismissed my comment. I think that as a student, whether I am running for a position or not, I deserve the right to have a discussion with my executive vice president about the legitimacy of ASUCR. I want to let everybody here know that you should be voting for people based on an education and knowing what they run for. I hope that if you stand for our voice, that you know what they stand for. And I really hope that after this, you can come tell me what it is that their party wants to do and how they want to empower you. Because I spent hours trying to talk to students to get them to vote educated, not being like, here, take my phone and vote for me. Because of this, I really hope that you guys take into consideration how this affects our entire student body. This is not just about us. This is not about being elected. This is about UCR. How can you let your school go to shit for your friends who just want it for their position? What is that going to benefit you? This is your alma mater, and this is what you're going to leave behind. So I really hope that before you start attacking the people here that are trying to represent you, and stop, take a minute to think about what you're doing. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming here today, and my comment actually is not directed just specifically to you, but also to all the previous speakers. First and foremost, I want to thank all of you for coming here today. Johnson specifically, it takes a lot of strength to say what you said tonight. But there's been a lot of talk about elections, there's been a lot of talk about specific parties, and there's been a lot of talk about elections committee. First and foremost, I want to say I'm a member of Elections Committee, and I wanted to kind of just elaborate on how Elections Committee is created, where it stands within the realm of ASUCR, and who appoints the members of it. So first of all, the Elections Committee is a subordinate committee of the Senate. It can be dissolved by this Senate if it wants to, and they act towards the Senate, if that makes sense. And the Elections Committee is governed or directed by the Elections Director, Stephanie Rose. However, there are 13 members of that Elections Committee, myself included. There are 2 other senators on the Election Committee. There's the External Vice President Abraham on the Elections Committee. But the rest of the members on that Elections Committee were appointed by the Personnel Committee. The Personnel Committee is chaired by our amazing Personnel Director, Ashley Hirano, and the members of that Personnel Committee include, by definition of the committee, the President of ASUCR, 2 senators, and 1 other member. So I do want to say that there are lots of checks and balances throughout this whole system, and that it was the Personnel Director, the Personnel Committee, the President, and the other members of that committee that appointed the members of the Election Committee. Thank you.
A lot of familiar faces. Hey everyone, you'll know me, I'm Brianna Ross, 4th year poli-sci major. I am not affiliated with elections by any way, shape, or form this year, just showing that I really do care about this organization and that it falls in the right hands. Not to point out any parties, but I really take pride in the fact that we're student-run, student-led. We're not led by administration. If you notice all the protests that we have been doing, it has been either doing a sit-in, outside the chancellor's office, and they have always been the ones that we have been fighting against. So for those who want to try to threaten our autonomy, remember that you are threatening your students. You are threatening the current organization. Who is the people that are fighting against the tuition hikes and making sure that we have the correct sexual assault policies on our campuses? Remember who's been fighting for you, not spending, over $50,000 over, for our gear and things of that sort. Making sure that you are having what you need as an organization. I do want to thank all of you for being here and for listening to everyone, but I want to let people know that if you are going to chant and you're going to appropriate different chants that come from student movements, know the history of what you're doing and make sure that you know that you are silencing your fellow student body. You are silencing. That is not our voice, that is your voice.
My name is Eddie Franco. I'm a 2nd year political science major. I first want to start by thanking the Elections Committee for keeping the last week transparent, keeping it open to students, and doing what is fair, not letting personal biases get in the way. I also want to thank the Senate for bringing forth a proposition that is going to be discussed later tonight. It takes a lot, especially with this year almost wrapping up, but it's appreciated by myself and many of my constituents here in the Galilee. I did have this speech prepared for Michael and Murphy directly. However, they're not here. Go figure. However, they're going to be watching this footage, so I'm still going to direct it at them anyways. I'm going to be blunt and I'm going to be direct about what I'm saying. I am in full support. I'm in full favor of the censure.
Point of order, you have to direct it at the chair.
Absolutely. I'm at I am at full support of the censure of Nafi Karim and Michael Irvin. Let's just put it into terms that they would understand: pride, progress, and empowerment. Not letting students speak during the Senate meetings because of personal vendetta, that's not pride. Not showing up to discuss an issue that's affecting them directly, that's not prideful. Not letting students have a say in expenditures and really important things that are coming to the Senate floor because they're afraid that it might get shot down. That's not empowering students. This is not an issue of friendships. This is not an issue of personal bias or personal gain. This is an issue of keeping the integrity of the school in order. Bringing a member of administration into a student-led, student-run organization because you can't face what's coming to you, that is not empowering in the slightest. Senate Chair, I am imploring that you vote yes on the censure of Nafi Karim and Michael Irvin. I'm really, a little aggravated right now, so I apologize for that. But everybody here, understand the weight of this decision. This is not about bias or friendships or seeing what is fair. What is happening is what's supposed to be fair. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Kevin Chow, currently in third year studying Sociology and Law and Society. I'm standing here to represent our voice. I understand that the crowd is mixed with PAC, ASUCR, but I'm standing here firm with my party because I've seen what they've gone through. I've seen what every individual here behind me have gone through. Other parties, PAC, ASUCR, I've seen what they've done. I've seen what Naftali have done, and I have so much respect for so many people here. But the thing is that there is transparency. Thank you for that. But I believe there's not enough transparency. Where is a concrete 100% fact that you actually have seen us table, where you've seen a face, one of our party members, one of our volunteers has actually laptop. I want to stand here for my party. I want to say that we all deny that video. We don't believe in that video because we know it's not us. It's not one of us. You could hear them saying, oh yeah, vote for our voice, but where's that face? Where's that face to that video? We don't know who that person was. As a man, I want to be open-minded as possible. I want to see every individual in a bright light, in a good light. But the thing is that, where is that fact coming to? We voted off judicials, and we don't have 100% fact about what they did. Do we have 100% fact that they leaked out information? Do we have fact that it was our party that have that laptop? And I just want to say that there's so many good people here. Every individual here. You guys are the Senate, and I respect everyone here. It's just that we need the facts just to make sure that to confirm everything, and that's what I'm asking for my party. Thank you.
Kevin, I want to say first and foremost, thank you, and that I respect you so much for doing the appropriate thing and coming to the podium to address the concerns that you had over what the Elections Committee did. I also commend you for challenging the substantive issue at hand instead of reducing this to a personal attack on individuals. I think it's perfectly within your realm, and I think even more relevant and effective to your cause to challenge what actually the decision that was made based upon what the evidence that was submitted was. So I want to commend you for that, first and foremost. I also want to address the fact that I want to take this opportunity to say that despite the way that the rhetoric that's being used, I really would encourage individuals to not think of our voice necessarily as every single member that's in our voice being implicated in it.
Is there a motion to extend to let the rest of the speakers?
Yeah, I move to extend to let the rest of the speakers.
Second. Second, Delaney. All those in favor?
I want to, the reason why I'm saying this is because I've said this statement from before I joined Elections Committee, since my time here. I think there is something fundamentally wrong with our party system, because when you run in a party, yes, it allows individuals to get into office in an easier way, right? It just is easier to collect resources and to run as a collective. But what happens when you run in a party is that you're not going to collect the same caliber of individuals for your whole party. What's very likely to happen is, and I'll say this is I'm sure the case for every single party, is that there are some great individuals that run with the party, and there can also be some terrible individuals that run with the party, right? So I would challenge everybody to change the rhetoric from this idea of PAC, UCR or YUCR, and our voice to really, I would say, the leadership in those parties, because those are the people that are often most responsible for the events that transpire, not necessarily all the candidates. Unfortunately, because of the way that the elections code is set up, it does not allow the elections committee to just say, consider giving strikes to only certain individuals, or only give it to the leadership, or do anything else like that. And I would say that that's probably a deficiency of the elections code. But unfortunately, I would hope that everybody would understand that the elections code had to be followed to the teeth. And I also want to say that it's very concerning to me the way that individuals are coming up to talk, because let's be honest about something. When these elections began, the odds, I will really say that I really believe that the odds were stacked in the favor of one party. You heard personally from the very first speech that yes, Verna, who came up here, was, or hopefully can still be, my little, right? But the thing is, and the elections committee people were appointed by our personnel director, who I would know is currently the presidential candidate, or was the presidential candidate for our voice. So, if anything, I'm having trouble understanding how it is not, how there's an argument that there's a bias there when the evidence and everything, all the other circumstances suggest that there would be a bias the other way around. So until somebody can explain that to me, I don't think that it's valid or appropriate for you to talk that way. And I don't have time right now, but I would love to speak with you on the substantive matter of the video, the merit of that, or maybe we can engage in a discussion at some point on the speakers list. But thank you again.
Could I have one more to say? I'm sorry.
Point of parliamentary procedure, didn't my motion get rid of all time limits?
No, just his 3 minutes.
The public forum.
It exhausted the speakers list.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I'll allow comment.
I gotta admit, we are all at fault here. I'm at fault, and I believe everyone else, because it's hard not to be biased. Is that correct? It's really hard to where you're sitting at, and there are people within my party who's back and forth. I talk to other people with other parties. I talked to Naftali, I talked to Andy, I talked to Grant, and I want to be as open-minded as possible, but I want to answer your question after you answer ours. After we see the evidence, that proof that gave us the strikes. And I would love to actually sit down with you and have a conversation with you. So thank you very much.
Hi everyone. I'm going to try to address what I'm sure most of you have come here to speak about. And first of all, I want to say thank you all for coming, regardless of whether you're here to support the decisions of the Elections Committee or to challenge us. I welcome all comments and I appreciate it, because that is my job as an elected official, to hear all the comments. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to you for coming up here and speaking to us in this manner. I greatly appreciate it. I'm sure it's hard to come up in the environment that you feel that you're in with the galley. As I would argue, it's also very difficult to sit here and hear chants about myself. So I respect you and appreciate for you coming up. Something that I want to comment on, and I'm going to echo most of what Abe said, I'd be more than willing to sit down and have a conversation with you as well.
But there's a comment that I think everyone should know about the elections code and disqualifications. In the history of ASUCR, there have not been disqualifications. That is not because students have not had more than 3 strikes. That is because previous election directors and judicial council members chose not to disqualify them. Although I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the written bylaws in the elections code, I think there are a lot of flaws in here that we should fix as an elections committee, as a Senate, as all of you students out here who can make suggestions for us to fix. We do still have to follow it. It's not a matter of whether I think something written in the code is right or wrong, it's just that we have to follow it. So because of that, I apologize, and I understand your concerns and your party's concerns with everything that has gone on and with the disqualifications. However, it is my responsibility as the elections director to set a precedent, because I don't think that previous elections directors and judicial council members have set the precedent that if rules are broken, members will be disqualified. The elections code was created for a purpose. It's to create regulations, and people are supposed to enforce it. That way there's not chaos going on. And I understand that there may be some innocent people who are affected by this, and I apologize. However, I'm going to echo what Abe said again. Maybe the error and the flaw in all of this is the party system. Because a lot of the time what happens is there's an umbrella with a party, and the party gets a strike, and then everybody else is affected by it. So maybe, I'm sorry. Oh, I have 10 seconds. So maybe that's something that we can all collectively work towards in the future. But I apologize, and I do welcome everyone to come up and speak their mind. I do appreciate it, and I'm more than willing to clarify anything in the elections code or any other decisions made by the elections committee. So thank you.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you for coming here today, and I also want to say it's very unfortunate that you may believe that you aren't going through what you quote unquote signed up for. That's exactly how I felt when I ran an election last year. I personally disagreed with the president candidate that I was running on and his view on divestment. However, everybody thought that that was my view too. So there's a lot of things that are perpetuated onto candidates when they run with respective parties. So I would agree with Abe and Stephanie that this is an inherent problem or a systematic problem of the party system. And that is something that I truly do believe that we need to change. However, the rules are the rules. And I don't think there's anybody in this room that would disagree with me, or at least that they shouldn't disagree with me, that the justices should not be politicized. They should not have any political stake in the elections. And this Senate right here voted last week that we felt that some justices did have political motives behind their actions. So we're here talking about biases today. However, what about those biases by those justices, right? And another last comment, I have 5 seconds. I'll comment again later. But I have a lot of points and a lot of things I want to say. However, we want to respect all of you and allow everybody here to speak, or at least I do. Thank you.
Public forum, that was the end of the extension of 20 minutes.
I motion to extend another 20 minutes.
Motion to extend by Jason.
Second.
Second by John. All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. 11-1-1. So motion to extend by 20 minutes. Delaney was next one.
I withdraw for redundancy.
Okay.
Hi. This is my first time coming to the Senate meetings, and I have been trying to watch the videos as much as I can via YouTube. And how many, I don't, just a quick question, are we allowed to have as many things to talk about, or do we take our turn? Like, each time we have something to say?
You have 3 minutes, so whatever you
Okay. Watching the videos, I don't know if it's the mic or it's your snaps, but it's really loud with the snapping. Sometimes I can't hear. Like, I came here today and the snapping is not that loud, but on the video it's really loud. So sometimes I can't hear what you're saying. So what actually one of my coworkers suggested, if instead of the snapping, maybe we could have the American Sign Language of clapping. That would kind of work. I would be okay with that. You can still show support. It's 2 hands. It's 2 hands. But I mean, you can still show support and, not have the snap. Because that's really loud. I don't know if it's the mic or if it's the snapping, but that's just one of the things I wanted to ask. Another one of the things that, why I've been watching the videos was because of the undue run. Now, I'm not gonna ask for it to be canceled tomorrow because that's really ridiculous, especially because it's tomorrow. But I would like to ask if it does not become a tradition at our school, especially because I'm scared that if it does become a tradition, it might really ruin the reputation of the school and as well as endanger the safety of the students. How many minutes do I have?
You have a minute and a half.
Oh man, okay. And I'll explain why. 5 to 6 years later, I'll be graduating from pharmacy school, and I'll be going out into the job market. And I really don't want, when my resume says, graduated 2016 at UC Riverside, for the first thing to pop out of the interviewer's mind, oh, this is the school that has the undie run. Because that would be really embarrassing. I mean, it's a really great idea to have people come and donate clothes, but would it be possible to come up with other ideas besides the undie run? Just because, there's like, I don't know, 25, 30 of you, brilliant minds, that you guys could possibly come up with other ways to show school spirit rather than an undie run. Just because it's not just because, it's kind of embarrassing. I know that, whoever likes it or supports it, you're more than welcome to. And then people who don't support it are more than welcome to, abstain. However, I'm concerned that if this becomes a tradition, people who are not, associated with the school, 10 seconds? Holy shiz. Okay. People who are not, you can? Oh, okay. People who are not associated with our school could possibly come and endanger our school, especially because this is an open campus. And I'm scared that even though I'm not, oh man, okay.
Sorry, that's time. You can finish your thought.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I'm scared that people who are not associated with the school might come and harm our students, especially if they're going back homes in their underwear. It's really a scary thought. And then people who are not, associated with the undie run, don't want to be, they're still in the surrounding areas. So those people are still gonna, prey on us students. And I'm really scared for that. Thank you.
Would you mind stating your name really quick? Just for
Yeah, oh, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Noreen, and I'm a third-year neuroscience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We had a comment from Reem and then Summer.
Hi Noreen, thank you so much for commenting. We are definitely all perceptive of your concerns. I wasn't directly affiliated with the planning of this event, but I am close with the two senators that were, and I just want to bring it to your understanding that the way that they framed this event was that it was like a body empowerment event and also a charity event. So I would be saddened to believe that employers would not do full and thorough research and take into consideration the fact that this event was not just, to screw around. And I'm sure that the senators could elaborate more on that, and hopefully in the future that could be something that is also elaborated on so that there is not that misconception. I also wanted to note, I want you to understand that I know that administration has been in the talks with Colette King and Jackie Jacoby, who are the two senators that have been working on this project, and they are aware that this could be a potential danger, so UCPD, I believe, is going to be there. So those are just 2 points that I wanted to bring up, and I'm sure you all could elaborate if necessary. Thanks.
Summer.
Thank you so much for coming up here and speaking to us. I know it can be kind of intimidating the first time, and I appreciate your comment about snaps. I didn't realize that on the video, if that's loud. That's a great idea that we make sure that everyone can hear us so that when they watch the videos later they can better understand us. And I appreciate your concern about the undie run. It was Senator Jackie Jacoby and Senator Colette King that have been planning this event, and so it was, the nature of this event is to promote, as Senator Greenberg mentioned, body positivity, and it's also a charity event to donate clothes, and I can understand why, as a woman, that sometimes we're afraid, and I understand that personally because of my own experiences. But I want you to know that there are a lot of resources on this campus and a lot of other things. There's the escort system, so if you're worried about getting back, then you can do that. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'd love to talk to you more personally so that we can, I can clarify more clearly this event and how it's going to be a positive thing.
Delaney, you have 1 minute to respond.
Good evening. Thank you so much again for coming and getting involved in your student government. On behalf of Colette and Jackie, I just want to say, like everyone else, we're very receptive to your concerns, and we can provide you with their email addresses if you'd like to get in touch with them, or via our ASUCR website. They're available. And this event has kind of been modeled off of similar charity runs at other campuses, including a lot of the UC schools. So just know that, like Reem mentioned, and players are aware, bless you, of the charitable aspect to this and the fact that it isn't just like a frivolous event, and also just for everyone's knowledge, you can come in whatever you like, whatever makes you feel comfortable. You definitely don't have to wear your underwear. You can wear underwear over your clothes, whatever you feel. So yeah, thank you again.
Okay, and Jessica, one last comment. Jessica, you have a minute.
I withdraw.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, you have 3 minutes. If you could state your name for the minute.
Hi everyone, it's Ali Galarza Toledo. My full name. I just want to address the concerns of being their bias. So let's say we get in a time machine and we go back to the beginning of the year. And then let's say a president and an executive vice president set a closed session meeting to appoint individuals into the judicial branch, right? And let's say that those majority of the people, 2 of the people that were appointed were affiliated through them through an organization. Let's just say that happened. And then we move forward. We go back in the time machine, and it's elections, right? And then the people keep on saying that there's a bias by the elections committee that was appointed by the personnel director and so forth. But defend the justices well, it actually happened. Michael and Nafi held this meeting, and the 2 other people, Fernando and Abraham, were not invited, and so it was made without their consent, and they appointed justices that now we're helping create. Well, now I'm not saying that all of them did, but it's just you can see the bias there, and so information was leaked. I was also part of your side for a while before it was banned, and the reason I left was because I didn't like what they were doing, and they unfairly disqualified an individual that came up to talk, and I was not for that, and so there's a lot of things that were going on during at the time, and I want to stand with my fellow friends that are standing with us. For all you know, a little over half of your side left that party when that happened. Because we're not cool with that, and we're divided. Some of us went to YOUCR, some went to PAC, and it's just we don't want to So it's just what I was trying to say is that let's play fair elections. Maybe next year let's ban the party system. The party system is good in one thing where let's say one great individual has like the great thoughts, but he or she or they do not know a lot of people, and then they're never gonna get elected. Because they don't have like a lot of friends or whatever it may be. So that's the only thing it's good for. But this whole thing where, how many of you would honestly run if you were not asked to because by your friends? Crickets. So I just want to put that out and make sure that you think your thoughts clearly. And when you blame people here for bias or whatever it may be, like make sure you know what happened. In September, October, November, whatever it may be, and know what happened because you just jumped into elections last year. I was also disqualified, and it sucked. I came here, I disrupted Sai's meeting all the time. Sai probably hated me, but
that's time.
Can I finish my thought? Alright, and so what I'm trying to say is that it sucked that I got disqualified, and I don't wish it upon anyone. But the election code is there, and the election code states that you can't do that, and you guys got 6 strikes. It's pretty bad, I understand 1, 2, 3. But we're saying that the election code is there. I was disqualified. I fought for it, and it didn't happen. And then this year again, you were disqualified. Okay, bye.
Corey Willis. So my biggest concern is, one of my biggest concerns has been the lack of, we talk about transparency,
But there's been a litany of times I can list throughout these election proceedings where the Constitution has been either completely ignored or violated. We can start with the election director changing her bylaws without submitting it through LRC. We can talk about the removal of the justices without an arraignment when the judicial procedure says that justices' removal must be initiated by the justices. It doesn't mean you can interpret that to sort of say, well, however we want to decide, that's not something that can be voted on by Senate. I can bring up the actual sections of the Constitution and stuff you like. I don't have them on me. But that has been my biggest problem, is that we have also personal correspondences from the external vice president demonstrating what we believe to be a bias. And if you don't want to call it bias, we believe we received differential and unfair treatment. An alumni who doesn't even attend this university, who has the same relationship that the president pro tempore has with the elections director, somehow minutes after our elections paperwork was submitted, asked our candidate if he was running. The vice president himself admitted during the unofficial special meeting, unofficial because there was no 48-hour notice. The Constitution says all meetings require 48-hour notice to be official. He said in the official meeting, and it's in the video, that there was no evidence against Daniel Ojo, the justice, and then proceeded to immediately after that say that it was somehow clear with no evidence that there was proof of information leaking, when there was no evidence because it never happened. And you yourself, I do believe, admitted that there was no hard evidence, this was all just speculation because of a problematic relationship that you yourself share with the justice. So my biggest concern really has been, there seems to be a difference in treatment on we're talking about the video. There's no proof in that again, but the way the violations are handled, it seems that one party is immediately receiving violations from an elections committee that has become both judge and jury and executioner, while one party, when violations are submitted against them, they go ahead and decide to drag their feet, and if they have time to get to them, they don't. So that's been my biggest concern, is that if the strikes were actually fair and valid and there was evidence in support of them, I would be fine with that. Same for removing the justices. There has been no evidence, you yourself, like I said, admitted. We have different personal correspondences from people related to this showing that what we believe to be unfair treatment to our party and differential treatment in terms of the party. And basically I don't really have any questions, just I wish we would follow the Constitution and bylaws, but that clearly is not important to this body. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Corey. So I will say I've been in ASUCR for the past 3 years. It's funny to hear somebody come up and challenge the knowledge of the bylaws and Constitution, seeing as how I've been on here and I've been constantly at least regarded as somebody who is fairly aware and knowledgeable about the Constitution and the bylaws. The executive vice president and the parliamentarian have oftentimes consulted me with regards to the Constitution and bylaws, but somehow when it doesn't go in their favor, then I don't know it. That's very interesting to me. What I will say though, with regards to the bylaws in the Constitution is, during the meeting, can I have somebody please extend my time?
I move to extend your time.
Opposed? Abstain?
You said that the bylaw had to go through LRC, but first of all, there was no legislation that was proposed to be reviewed by the Legislative Review Committee. During the meeting, we specifically gave time to the executive vice president and the parliamentarian to look up something that said that could not be done, and it's in the video that they say that they cannot find anything in the bylaws or the Constitution that says that change needed to go through the Legislative Review Committee. There's proof of that. With regards to the judicial hearing, the section in the bylaws clearly states that the interpretation of the section of removal from office is up to the discretion of Senate, and Senate interpreted that section allowed them to remove the justices. The only point of contention from anybody that I've heard is the fact that it says that charges may be brought by any 6 justices. What that clearly says, I don't think it takes a genius to discern the fact that may is not the same thing as must. Like, you can disagree with the fact that it's may, you might want it to be must, and you would be very valid in wanting it to be must, but at that point I would tell you, do what I did and propose a constitutional amendment. I proposed a vast array of constitutional amendments because I knew that there were things wrong in the Constitution that we had to follow that we shouldn't have to follow. If you feel like something is wrong in it, take the appropriate measures that you need to take to get that done, But don't get mad at the Senate for doing their job based on the Constitution. Second of, I'll continue. No, there's an array of things that I need to address. It's been stated that I have a bias and that there's personal correspondence. I would welcome you to share it, and I would ask you to share it on the floor if you would like, so that I can personally respond to every single piece of it. If you want to do that, go ahead, because honestly, at this point, I can tell you that there are members of every single party that had expectations of me to support them, and there's also members of every single party that didn't have expectations for me. And so what I would say is the reason why I joined the elections committee was specifically so that I would not have to support individuals from various parties, because I know, like I said before, that there are qualified individuals on every single party. And I know that I have personal relationships with individuals on every single party. If I wanted you to lose, I would not have joined the elections committee. I would have gone and supported another party. That's just it. So it really bothers me to hear that being said, because I could have lent my 3 years of knowledge from ASUCR to another party. I could have lent my organizing experience to another party. I could have lent the endorsement of the statewide progressive coalition to another party. I didn't. And the reason why I didn't is because I exactly wanted this, what happened today, to not happen. You think I would want to lose the personal relationships that I have with you, that I have with these people that were suddenly, hours earlier, shaking my hand or hugging me or talking to me, and hours later, because of this student government election, chanting names at me and accusing me of a wide array of things? No, I don't want that to happen. That's specifically why I joined the elections committee. That's part of the reason why I did. Because what I know is true is that there are individuals in every party that are qualified, and every single member that ran in this election deserved a fair elections process. And I knew that from my experience being on a party last year and developing a party, I would say, I know a lot of the things that parties are gonna do, a lot of the things that parties are gonna try to get away with things. I know it from personal experience, because I can say that there are things done every single year by different parties.
I have to cut you off. That's the end of public forum.
Can somebody extend the time again?
I motion to extend another
5 minutes.
Not 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Let's have more people.
Wait, 20 minutes for public. No, 20 minutes for public forum.
I second that.
Second by Herman. All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstain? John, are you? Abstain.
Anyway, moving on.
So extended by 20 minutes.
The next point that I want to say is, I did say that there is no concrete 100% proof that things went on, that there was a leak from that specific individual, that whatever you want to say. But the thing is, we don't need 100% proof to know that something is going on and to address an issue. If we needed 100% proof, I would tell you that nothing would get done, and that would be the same thing in our justice system. Nothing would be done if you needed 100% proof. There's levels of evidence that are required for different things, and when the committee that's specifically tasked to review those cases finds that there is enough evidence to make a statement and to make a decision, that's when decisions are made. Not how you decide, it's when the committee that has the authority to do so decides. If you want to question the issue of the video, I would encourage you to bring up the video and we can tell you specifically, second by second, what is there, what we know from other sources or whatever you want to say. And lastly, I would remind everybody that the sentiment in this room is as if the decisions are final, but they're not. Every single individual that was disqualified has the opportunity to appeal to the 3 remaining members of the Judicial Council, which will hear your appeal, and they'll consider, hey, they might say, no, there wasn't enough evidence in this case. And I'll be like, chill, okay, that's fine. But there's a process that has to be followed. So when you say that the elections committee is judge, jury, and executioner, no, we're not, to be honest. You still have the opportunity to appeal. I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to submit an appeal so that you can have another body also review it, and so that our decision can be further legitimized, or it can be stricken down. That's it. Don't throw a temper tantrum. Just go through the process, and you'll get where you need to go. That's it.
Okay, Steph, did you want to respond?
So I wanted to make a brief thing. The judicial rules of procedure says that judicial removal must be initiated, and it says that that document is to be used in conjunction with the Constitution, and because it expands on it and does not contradict it, yeah, I would say it doesn't take a genius. No, must means must.
We'll move on and we'll come back to that.
Hi, Corey. I wrote down a few things I want to briefly address. So the first is that the Elections Committee is biased towards one party. I heard that in your chant tonight. Thank you. I'd like to publicly say that the Elections Committee signs strikes to more than one party and candidates in more than one party. Believe it or not, some of those strikes were actually appealed. So you can take that up with the justices if you'd like. So I want to address the chant for a moment because I feel like there is a sentiment in the room of biases based on organizations. I have 3 members running in the election that are a part of an organization that I'm in, and they are on 2 different parties. I have personally assigned strikes to some of those members that you were saying I'm biased in favor of. Secondly, I don't think that it's appropriate to categorize biases based on organizations, especially when it has been mentioned several times this evening that there are many members of an organization on this Senate in judicial and in different parties. Secondly, I more than welcome you to question any decision that the Elections Committee and I have made by appealing to the 3 justices. You have until Thursday at 5 p.m. I'd additionally like to add that I abstain from every vote. So once again, you can make chants about me and my supposed personal biases, but I don't actually vote in any of the decisions. The last thing that I wanted to mention is this year I wrote a new bylaw in the Elections Code stating that all candidates needed to read and understand the ASUCR Constitution and the Elections Code. I find it interesting that most of the people who are questioning the Constitution were actually supposed to read the Constitution in order to be a candidate. Thank you.
Last on the speakers list.
So just very quickly, I had 2 points. The first being the 48 hours. So that is not a blanket statement. It is for the official meetings. Now there can be emergency meetings, and I talked privately to justices, and they agreed with me that an emergency meeting does not have to abide by that 48-hour rule. In fact, last year this precedent was set when 5 senators, and I'll name those 5 just to show that they are involved in different places in this current argument. It was Fernando, Abraham, Ranjit, Michael, and Nafi. And they had an emergency meeting last year, which didn't meet the 48-hour rule. And then secondly, I want to talk about the mayor, the must. So it says the Constitution explicitly states that it is Senate's discretion to interpret those words. And secondly, I would refer you to the YouTube video in which the Chief Justice at the time, Molina, openly agreed on our interpretation. Thank you.
Alright, did you have a response?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on next on the speakers list. If you could go ahead and state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Not your selection. These are our elections. Not your selection. These are our elections. Not your selection.
Okay, well.
Our election. Not your selection. Catherine Tingley, I'm gonna have to ask you.
These are our elections. Not your selection. These are our elections.
Catherine Tingley, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave this meeting right now.
Not your selection.
This meeting, we need decorum in this meeting, and he's gonna have to ask you to leave. Student conduct procedures will be initiated if meeting decorum is not upheld.
Not your selection. These are our elections. Not your selection. These are our elections.
All right, you may continue.
These are our elections.
Student conduct will be notified.
These are our elections.
My name is Alfonso Moda. I'm a first-year English student, and it wasn't until recently that I even cared at all about ASUCR elections. I was like introduced into the whole thing basically when I went on a trip to Sacramento for the student lobby conference. And on that trip, it was like a really great experience, and I got to see people from like a lot of different political parties, and not just that, but just people from all different places around campus, and like a lot of people that are sitting here in this horseshoe right now. And like I just saw like I was able to take part in like something bigger. Like for me personally, I feel like ASUCR, like all this is kind of trivial, in a sense, because if we're putting so much energy into all of this, and like not really thinking about like into like party politics and stuff and things that are totally irrelevant to like our tuition costs, all these real problems that we're facing, then how do we expect to solve anything? You know? But aside from that, like I've like even going back to like the redundancy of party politics, I voted for people on various different parties, and I voted according to like who I knew them to be, like according to their ideals and how they matched up with my principles. And going off of that, I like to address the issue of the video that was submitted and its validity, and like all these things that a lot of people are saying that like, oh, there's a lot of bias towards a certain political party, and there's like no evidence to back it up or no reliable evidence. Like I submitted some evidence, and like that resulted in people getting strikes, and the reason, like the video that some people have brought up, like that was my video, and like the reason that you don't see people's faces in there is because I knew those people, and I wanted to protect their identities as much as I could, you know, because what they were doing was violating my principles, and the thing is like, you can stick, and my whole thing is like you can stick to your principles and not make it personal. Because we should all be here supporting each other and the ideals that we all, because in spite of your party, like whatever like little tagline that you stand behind, a lot of you share the same ideals, you know, and that's what's important. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sean Famian. Wow, that was incredible. Sorry, that takes a lot of guts, honestly. So I'm here to speak on, I don't want to like get into like all this stuff, but I'm gonna say something that's kind of more general. First off, I didn't think it would get worse than last year. Last year was pretty intense, but I mean, we're all here, everyone's here. I see a lot of the same faces, and that's what's really incredible, is that everyone is still really involved and trying to get involved, and that's kind of your role as a student leader, is to stand up for what you believe in and what you kind of see as fit. So I wrote a couple things down as I've been sitting here. Sheesh. I've been in like way worse situations, but this is kind of nerve-wracking. I don't know how you go. Good job, seriously. Okay. So decisions you all make go beyond this room. That's the first thing I want to say. It is your role as student representatives to represent the students. So the decisions you make tonight, they affect the campus community as a whole, and it's going to affect the campus as a whole in the future. So it's not just this year. It's not just your term as a senator. I know a lot of you are graduating. This is for next year as well. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't care about the university as a whole and saying these things, because I do care about this campus. I was privileged enough to be a representative of this campus, and I made an impact on this campus, and I know how rewarding that is. And it's amazing to see how many students are willing to run in the elections in order to have the same effect. So that brings me to my next point. Basically just one more point. Take into consideration everything that is being presented here today. It doesn't matter where you stand on the subject, just take it into consideration, because that's your role as a representative. But this goes to the students that are all here. I know I'm supposed to address the Senate. I address you all. I want to address the other people. So every single party is here right now. Every single party has ran in these elections. You all spent hours in the sun, and trust me, I know what that's like. And you were talking to students and finding out what they feel about this campus, and that alone is your role as a student leader on this campus. You all have already proved yourselves as student leaders on this campus by making that commitment to these elections. And this elections was just as, if not more competitive than last year's. Maybe, I don't know. No, but honestly, that's your role as a student leader, and there are other avenues of getting involved in ASUCR besides being an elected official. There are people on my party that continue to be involved in ASUCR even after the nepotism and the intense elections last year. And that just shows that even though that you are not elected official, you can be a student leader on this campus if you are committed to this campus and you want to make a change on this campus. I continue to be involved on this campus, even though I lost the presidency last year. But that was my role as a student in wanting to be involved on this campus and make a change. So that's all I have to say, and I hope this helps anyone, if anything.
If you can state your name for the purpose of the minutes, please.
All right. Daniel Ojo, Justice, ex-justice, friend of the court, whatever your interpretation is. I'm here not to discuss any of the fiasco that happened. I'm here to, I guess, kind of expand on what the Judicial Council decided about the strikes, for example. We overturned 2 strikes that the elections director had previously assigned both parties. One of them was in regards to endorsement, and why that was overturned was because of some conflicting information that the Justice Council felt that both parties interpreted wrong, and so that was overturned. And the second overturned strike was for volunteers, in which the elections director had also some inconsistencies in explaining the regulations of volunteers. The Judicial Council had made it clear that volunteers cannot be shouldn't be, well, volunteers won't be held accountable except for in extreme cases. And so most of the volunteer strikes that was assigned was overturned, and I just need to make sure that the galley especially knows that this is why strikes were overturned. It wasn't because it was sort of biased or whatever underlying agenda. We just felt that there was some inconsistencies with the directions given to both parties, all parties. And the 2 pending cases, we had 2 pending cases before last weekend, the Judicial Committee, and those 2 pending cases were given to the elections director, and that's why I guess a strike was assigned for volunteers' actions. That case was pending because we felt we needed more information, especially the video part, and as the lovely gentleman already explained why we hadn't had a chance to talk to him, we were going to talk to him, and that's why the case was pending. We didn't have a chance because of last week. And so I would like to extend an invitation to very much appeal whatever violations you feel like aren't justified to the remaining 3 justices, like Ava said, and they will take into consideration. We need to clarify the error about the Judicial Council.
If you could state your name for the purpose of the minutes.
My name's Bolu. I'm a 3rd-year poli-sci major. So I'm interested in politics. I haven't been too mixed in with ASUCR just because I feel like one of the other students said, you know, party politics, it all gets muddy. But my main thing is also from a student perspective about transparency and consistency. We hear that, oh, okay, there's not 100% concrete evidence, but there's enough evidence. What is your definition or interpretation of enough evidence? Because in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty, and I feel like even on our side, we're making this fervor, and there's the opposing side off of allegations. What are allegations? You know, it's like, and then also I have another question on, I was informed that initially a student's supposed to come with their complaint of this laptoping, and in the middle of the elections, that rule was changed to the Senate can allege that. So,
No.
No, okay, well, maybe I was misinformed. Long story short, the student that came up, he said that he didn't want to give names because he knew the people that were laptopping. Well, if you guys knew the people that were laptopping, why was it an entire party that was disqualified? That's alarming to anybody if you hear that. So I think we just kind of want more transparency on, you know, everybody throwing around the word bias. It's hard to, everyone can claim neutrality. You know, you can pass that off, but where's the transparency and where is this evidence, man? Like, we want to know. We don't want to hear 3 minutes of thank you, you know, beat around the bush. What is this evidence? He himself, the man who brought up the video, said, I know who did it. So why did an entire party get disqualified? And to the student who said he ran and he was disqualified, well, he must have done something that he knew he was accountable to be disqualified for, because if you were disqualified and you felt like you shouldn't be, you would be up here chanting and doing the things that we're doing. At the same time, we do apologize for creating a noise and a disturbance, but as students, we all know from everything we've seen that unless you change the normal order of things, nothing will change. Unless you change up the norm and you create a scene, nothing will ever get done or addressed. So I think my biggest thing is, what is this evidence? And if it was 3 or 4 people that he personally knew came up to him, then why weren't those 3 or 4 people only disqualified in an entire party? So I just would like some answers.
So I'm not going to respond to everything you were saying, but responding to you and the other individual that had spoken before, I didn't get the chance because I think he might have left, was that during this whole process and getting involved, and you said you were a political science major and getting involved in this, and knowing that we've been spending a lot of time on these elections, I do want to let the whole galley know it, and that other person who spoke know that there are senators, there are people on this horseshoe, and there are people that work in the office in different offices that have been working really hard to fight against things like fighting against the federal budget proposal, like fighting against sexual assault, sexual violence, like fighting against different things that are happening on our campus. And so just addressing that we are still, like Feminism Awareness Week and the other one, we're still working on things during this elections process. So that was to answer that other gentleman's question as well. Also, you kind of touched on speaking in front of, or chanting in front of the galley, and chanting in front of the Senate, which I appreciate because I can understand, like, from, oh my God, move.
15 minutes.
I second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 1, and abstaining.
Oh, I know.
Okay, continue.
So what I was saying was regarding like coming up and chanting and shaking the system and you know creating new norms. I believe in that 100%. I think that's something that we should be doing, especially as students. But we need to make sure that we're doing those things for the right reasons and doing those things like as a student collective. So knowing that like something that affects all students, like shaking up the system, like telling the regions not to create a tuition increase. That's something that we need to chant about. We need to get mad about, and we need to fight against. But you know. Special interests of a few during our student government elections may not be the best time to appropriate those kind of chants for this purpose. So I'm addressing this to the chair. I don't want this to feel like we're a tag or anything. I just want to address the organizing side of that, and that if you want to become further involved in AS, there are avenues for that, and like the conferences are a really good outlet for that to start there.
It's Abraham and Jessica.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over because I'm sure that not everybody received this information, and so it's a very valid point to ask about the evidence, specifically like how it was that the elections committee might have come to the determination to assign the strikes. And because the video, I'll go over the video one because it seems to be like the most contentious piece of evidence or whatnot, violation submitted. So I'll write the response that we issued to the person that gave the violation report. And so before I do that, it's important to note that there is no set amount of evidence that needs to be reached, and perhaps that's an issue that you would want to consider and have the Senate consider as we amend the elections code in the future. It's really up to the determination of every single individual to be confident in the fact that there was a violation. And I would remind everybody that this violation, these strikes were given unanimously by the elections committee. And so that means that every single person that voted felt like they had enough knowledge and were convinced enough to be able to issue those strikes. So I'll read the response. We're contacting you to inform you that the Elections Committee of ASUCR has decided to approve your violation report and have issued 2 strikes to our voice in regards to laptoping as well as campaigning in the residence halls due to the following reasons. In the ASUCR bylaws, Chapter 7, Elections Code, Part 4, Item 2, Section B, Point 1, laptoping campaigning is defined when a candidate, party, pro-group, con-group, or anyone with approximate relation to them approaches a student and asks the student to log onto a computer or other electronic device and vote in the election, usually coaxing the student to vote in a certain way. The evidence you presented in the form of a video account, as well as first-hand testimony, is substantial enough to determine that there was illegal laptoping involved. From what we were able to ascertain, the following evidence from the video is specifically as follows. At 15 seconds, the main laptopper says, "Vote for all the ones that say our voice." At 16 seconds, the main person being laptop asks, "That say what?" At 17 seconds, the main laptopper repeats, "Our voice." At 18 seconds, the main person being laptop says, "Oh, okay." At 31 seconds, the main laptopper says, go face her," directing the second laptopper toward the left by pointing her finger. At 32 seconds, the second laptopper asks, "Why?" At 36 seconds, the second laptopper is seen walking toward the direction indicated by the main laptopper at 31 seconds. At 38 seconds, the second laptopper says, "She's trying to take a picture of us." At 40 seconds, the main person being laptop says, "I mean, we are allowed to do this." And they're cut off. We're not able to tell whether it's an affirmation or whether it's a question that's being asked. There's an inflection in the video, but we were not able to ascertain whether it was an affirmation or a question. Given the aforementioned, the Elections Committee gathers the following sequence of events. First, an Our Voice affiliate directs a student to vote for all candidates running with Our Voice. Second, the Our Voice affiliates conducting the laptoping seem worried or concerned about another individual down the hall attempting to take evidence of the laptoping. Throughout the video, Our Voice candidates are being selected by the main person being laptopped as the main laptopper holds the tablet and directs the main person being laptop to do so. Furthermore, in the ASUCR bylaws, Chapter 7, Elections Code, Part 4, Item 2, Section 1, Section C, 1. Any campaigning within on-campus housing and residence halls shall be in compliance with the current housing policies and the Elections Code. 2. Any violation to these rules shall be subject to investigation and may result in the direct expulsion from the election. The current housing policy, as affirmed by the Residence Hall Association, is that no campaigning is allowed within on-campus housing or the residence halls. 3 Elections Committee members, including 2 residents of Aberdeen Inverness, as well as an NRA, were able to identify the location of the incident as being a hallway within Aberdeen Inverness. While the code specifies that it may result in direct expulsion, the Elections Committee decided to only assign 1 strike for this violation. The second strike is a result of the laptoping. That's what it says, and just so that everybody is aware, as you can tell, we really scrutinized that video to get every single thing out of it to make a decision. And I just wanted to present that so that everybody could have it available or could hear it for your knowledge. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for speaking today. I just wanted to really quickly touch base on the transparency comments being said, mainly because I was the senator that brought forth the allegations against transparency for the R gear release. You know, I was the one saying that it wasn't transparent the way it was released. I was also the individual that brought forward the nepotism against the appointment of the justices. So transparency is something that means a lot to me. However, at the same time, I would, actually point you towards Nafi Kareem's email he sent to the school winter quarter. which talked about how transparency, is key. However, it's hard to be transparent when there are personnel issues. So we can give as much information as we will try to give as much information as we can. However, when there's specific names involved, we are legally not allowed to give out that information. So thank you.
Okay. Did you have a?
Yeah, I kind of do have one last comment. I would like to say, like, I appreciate your efforts to be a little bit more transparent with us as students, but again, kind of listening to your transcript, especially because I know you're, I'm not supposed to be talking to people personally. Well, listening to the transcript as a law student, not only is it not even close to concrete, it doesn't even seem substantial, like that video, it's incriminating, but I guess it's kind of another question back, and I hope you actually do answer. Was there substantial evidence that this voice was actually someone in the party or someone affiliated with the party? And then on top of that, a double-up question, was there substantial evidence to disqualify everyone in the party? And why was it not just whoever was taking part in that current incident is what I think also some other students back here would like to know. Because when you see that kind of reaction, then you think, oh, something serious must have gone on. Some Watergate type scandal when you guys are disqualifying the whole party. And like, a lot of us, people back here saying it's my voice, it's not our voice. A lot of us as students would like to know what was the substantial evidence, because we're just still not seeing that. That is incriminating evidence, but a lot of things could be incriminating. Just because my fingerprints were on that door handle the minutes before the murder doesn't mean I committed the crime. And, if I committed the crime, why should my partner who had nothing to do with it also be sent to jail? So that's, I guess, one thing I would hope you guys will put into consideration when these appeals do come in. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just very quickly, I want to respond to that. I personally was actually not at that elections committee meeting when that vote took place, so I can't speak on that. But I can speak to why every single individual in that party was given a strike, and that has to do with our procedure. I would tell you to look at our bylaws. It says during elections weeks, if there are any strikes against the party, rather than so before elections week, if the party gets a strike, it gets a strike. The whole party, not the individuals in this party, but the party gets a strike. If that party receives 3 strikes before elections, then that party is disbanded and they all have to run as independents. This happened 2 years ago to a party. However, it says if during elections week that the party gets a strike, rather than the party being disbanded, every single individual in that party receives a strike.
And then I'll just quickly respond to the evidence thing. I do believe that that's substantial evidence based on everything that I said. There's first-hand testimony, there's clear evidence in the video, there's minute by minute you get a perspective of what's exactly going on. You can disagree that there was substantial evidence, and perhaps if you were on the elections committee, your vote would have been no. But that just was not the case for every individual. If an individual felt confident to cast a yes vote, then their interpretation and their idea of what happened is just as valid as yours is. And the Judicial Council will go over it, and they will also have an interpretation that will be also valid and final, I would add. So that's that.
There's 4 minutes left in public forum, so you can have your 3 minutes.
Mine's gonna be shorter, just time. Alright, so this time I wrote it so I won't forget. Neftali Galarza again. So for the emergency meeting, I just want to remind everyone that last year when I was disqualified for not making grades, that was the reason, not for anything I did bad. So last year we called an emergency meeting, and the president candidate and most candidates from your side who are now with our voice supported this emergency meeting. And Armando, who's running with you, he's a great friend of mine. He called the emergency meeting. He was executive vice president, and no one that supported your side said that meeting was that it wasn't loud because this and that. It was cool. Like I was disqualified, and like I mentioned before, like the president, the Senate, they voted not to overrule the appeal. So then there was called an emergency meeting the next morning. And there's people here that were at that next meeting. And nobody nobody said that that was wrong because they were in that party that had a lot of people disqualified too. So then second point is the whole bias keeps on going through and around. But how is it biased when we're doing so? There's two parties that are concerned about this, right? How is it not biased that there's only one party defending the justices that have relations to them with organizations? I would say that that's a lot more biased than anything, where it's just one specific group of people defending the judicial, because of the the relations. So I would say that's more biased than anything else that's been thrown out. Another one is on the election codes on volunteers laptoping. This is an issue that keeps on bringing up, and Abraham read it off earlier. And I'll read it again. This is, I'll just read the part. It says, electronic device and vote in the, it says defined as when a candidate, party, pro group, con group, or anyone approximate relations to them. That tells you any volunteer that, or any friend, whatever it may be, the party's going to be held accountable for your friend or for your volunteer for X, Y, and Z reason. And the whole and that's the other point. And the last point I want to bring up is the point of how the bylaws are worded, which is may instead of must. In housing, it also says it may result in direct expulsion. If you wanted a must, then all of you would have been disqualified automatically for having the video. And the video, I don't know how people can still keep on saying that it's not true when the person came up here that recorded it had the guts. And I hope that all of you don't take anything personal. Have the guts to come up here and tell them. And the person that does know it's true tried to interrupt the meeting, tried to interrupt him talking, and then walked away when he was talking. And it's true. You could go ask your party members and have a sit down, little circle, say, hey, let's be honest with each other. Like, do we know that video is true? And I'm gonna tell you, by heart, I'm a person de palabra, the word. I'm not gonna be here lying. But that's it.
Okay, so there's 1 minute left in public forum.
I move to extend it by 20 minutes.
Motion to extend by Delaney, second by Katharina. All those in favor? 8, all those opposed? And abstain? 2. This passes. So extended 20 minutes.
3.
I move to close the.
Oh, no. 20 minutes. Extended. Second.
Second by Ally. All those in favor of closing the speakers list? All those opposed? And abstain? Okay, so,
You should announce that.
Yeah, because I don't
yeah,
think they knew.
so there was a motion to close the speakers list, so those that are standing will be able to finish speaking. There's also a motion for 20 minutes, so those of you that are in line will be able to speak. You'll have your 3 minutes, and then after that, public forum will be over.
Hi, my name is Lisa Lee. I am a first year undeclared. Undeclared, yeah, awesome. Sweet, yeah. So this is also my first meeting. I'd just like to touch on something that I heard at the beginning of the meeting, that something about if this is our first meeting, we apparently don't care about student government. I don't know who said it, I just heard it. I would just like to say, as a student, a first year, I don't really know anything about ASUCR. I just got involved now. I didn't even know you guys met, so that's why this is my first meeting. So now I'd like to talk about the video evidence. So just from what I've been hearing, it just kind of sounds like there is really no substantial evidence for it. If it's just a voice and there's no actual face for it, it's kind of like anyone can make the video. You can say I could be a volunteer for another party and say just so you can get a strike against them. So there's really no evidence, no one's face is being shown. So I'm trying to figure out how that can be taken as evidence. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so there was a response, Reem.
Hey, I don't need the mic. So I can't comment on the evidence, but I did want to kind of clarify the comment that was made about the people that are attending like Senate meetings for the first time. I can't speak on behalf of the person that made the comment because I can't even recall who it was or what their intention was. But I can tell you that through my interpretation, they were commenting on people who have interests at stake who are attending this meeting for the first time, not people who are just curious about student government. You're completely welcome, and I mean everyone's welcome. We're serving everyone. You're all our constituents, but I don't want you to feel attacked by that comment because I don't know if the person that made it was intending for you in particular to feel that way.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Okay, so my comment is more directed towards the galley. There's been a lot of talk with like the justices being biased and the president being biased with like the appointments. Know that not all the responsibility goes to the president. Your senators approve them. If they were not approved, they wouldn't have gotten in there. Just like a few people that were also like not approved by Senate that didn't move forward. If you want to know what is bias, and if I would have listened to like these text messages and voted for the approval of somebody that's sitting in this horseshoe, then I would have taken full responsibility for it. And I'm not gonna state the name, but it says, please consider blank, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Tell the people next to you. She is good. Don't listen to Chris Sanchez. He is super biased. If I would have listened to this, I would have taken full responsibility for it. And know that this person that claims it's not biased is sitting in this horseshoe. Thank you.
I am not stating who I am, because you all know me. What can I say? Politics disgusts me. And if there's anything, well, first of all, I'm not representing our voice. I'm not representing PAC. I'm not representing YGCR. I am representing me, myself, and I as a student. No, you guys better stop clapping. No clapping or snapping of any kind. Because there's a reason why all of this is happening. There's a reason why you know everything about politics. Yes, I'm looking at you, him.
Please address comments at the chair.
Okay, sorry. There's a reason why you know everything about politics. There's a reason why somebody doesn't want the whole public to know. Yes, I'm looking at you.
Please don't address individuals. If there's personal attacks, I'll have to ask you to leave.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's a reason why somebody didn't decide to go to chemistry club in the first place. There's a reason why there are people chanting in back. All my life, I've been bullied in back in the days. I've been accused of many things, and I thought I would go up to somebody for help. Thought I would go up for somebody who would like actually represent the school. But look what's happening right now. Instead of just like acting like spoiled brats or whatever, you guys are just accusing one another over some stupid elections or whatever. Instead of just like working together and coming up with a solution to everything. Because yes, there's a lot of bias all around. Yes, there's a lot of like favoritism involved, but many of my friends that I know of, they were forced to vote, regardless of which party. They were all forced to vote only one specific individual party instead of just like going through like, instead of just choosing their own friends and family or whatever. So go ahead. Because I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one person threatening me as I'm speaking right now. And I came to terms of liking this university. But if these politics, if these dramatic instances, if these misunderstandings decide to like continue, well, like why am I in UCR in the first place? Why am I here? Am I here to graduate? Am I here to put up all this drama I'm somehow involved? Am I here to like just be standing here, just addressing all of my concern about this? I just can't believe it. I just wish that all of this would end, and that I would at least talk to somebody who I can trust. Because at the end of the day, we're all just human. And you should all understand that. That's all I gotta say. I just hope that whoever's in charge of the video, whoever's in charge of all being misaccused of, say, PAC, Our Voice, or ASUCR, whoever's just like not showing up in the first place, I just hope they come to terms with it. And I challenge the person in charge of PAC. I challenge the person in charge of ASUCR. I challenge the person in charge of Our Voice against me. Thank you.
Okay, so, that's the end of public forum. There were some hands, but did you wanna, okay. So that's the end of public forum. The next item on our agenda is our closed session. So. Yeah, so we'll all move to a different room, for our closed session. We will be continuing our meeting afterwards, according to the agenda. We've just moved, as stated earlier, to closed session after public forum, so you're welcome to stay. We'll keep the Facebook page updated, so if you'd like to come back after, you can keep updated on that, on our Twitter, and we'll have updates. So if you want to stay in the room, you can. There's a public comment section at the end, after all of the Senate. Yeah, so we'll move to closed session. Thank you all very much. Thank you all for waiting. I know it's really late. So we're moving back into our open session. And to catch everyone up, Senate has voted upon the censure of President Nafi Karim unanimously, 10-0-1. The Senate has voted upon the censure of Executive Vice President Michael Urban by a vote of 10-0-2 unanimously. The Senate has voted upon appointing current Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs, Fernando Echeverria, as acting president by a unanimous vote of 10-0-1. The Senate has voted upon appointing Academic Affairs intern Ranjith Nair as acting Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs by a vote of 8-1. And the Senate has voted upon appointing Senator Reem Blake as acting Executive Vice President by a vote of 6-1. So as of right now, we'll be moving forward. Reem was the current acting Executive Vice President, so she'll be chairing the rest of the meeting.
Hey y'all, so I'll try to make this meeting as seamless as possible. We've been through 3 people in this position in one night, but thank you for bearing with us. I will make sure that I'm committed to following all of the things in this bylaw and the Constitution, so you all can have efficient and effective meetings. So the next thing that we are going to discuss that's on our agenda is committee updates. Finance Committee, Irish Jane. Okay, Iris withdraws her motion. LRC, you were on the agenda.
Yeah, it's really quick. I sent out the presidential bylaws updated last week. We did another reviewing them. There's one amendment that Summer and the Chancellor's Committee on Sexual Harassment and Sexual Violence Prevention. So basically we're adding onto this bylaw that the President shall serve on or appoint a designee to the Associated Students' Chancellor's Committee on Sexual Harassment and Sexual Violence Prevention. If a designee is appointed, the designee shall be ratified by a majority vote in Senate.
And I just want to mention that there are going to be thorough bylaws, but they're going to be next week. Yeah.
So, is there discussion?
I move to pass the amendment.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? All abstain? Okay, with a motion of 10-0-0, this motion passes.
Mountain Dew go.
Okay, Iris actually has an update, so we'll go through with that.
Okay, you all should have received a email, or the officers have received like an email from me. It's for the proposed budget for next year for your position. So if you can look over that and see which line items you would like to change, so like either to increase or decrease, just to know all increases cannot exceed 10% of your overall budget. And our last finance hearing will be week 8, which is the week of May 18th. So, and if you still, for any officers, if you still need or want to come to finance to, for any of your like projects to end out the year, you can still do so. That's it.
Thank you, Iris. So next on our list, we had collaboration. Sorry, Abe.
Yeah, before we move on, I realized that we didn't really give a full explanation as to the allegations that were made for censure, and I think that that's important so that the galley and everybody can be aware of exactly why it is that everybody got censured, since I know that a lot of people have questioned the action, so I just want to make sure that people know what exactly the allegations were and why you all voted the way that you did.
So for the censure of President Nafi Karim, the rationale behind was it can be found in Chapter 9 of the bylaws, the ASUCR President Chapter, Section 3, Letter D, failure to serve as ASUCR representative to the Board of Trustees. Letter E, failure to serve on or appoint a designee to the Student Services Fee Advisory Committee. Letter G, failure to serve as ASUCR student representative on the City Task Force Committee. Letter I, failure to serve as chair of the ASUCR Officers Cabinet, which will meet a minimum of once per week. And then in Chapter 3 of the Constitution. Okay, and then in the Constitution, Article 4, Section C, under number 1, the President, letter I, failure to chair all ASUCR Executive Cabinet meetings, and letter L, to perform all other duties as designated by the President by law, which was just before. And then and then, as per Chapter 3 of the bylaws, the Student Senate Attendance Regulation, Section 1 states that the following officers and representatives shall have to attend all Student Senate meetings. Letter A, President. Okay, for Executive Vice President, I will refer to Chapter 10 of the bylaws, the Executive Vice President chapter, and beginning in Section 5, duties and description, letter D, failure to compile and post the office hours for all senators and officers each quarter. Letter E, failure to take minutes for all meetings of ECAB summer powers and have them posted to the website. Letter F, be responsible for organizing and executing each annual Highlander orientation tabling session with consultation of the President and the help of ECAB. Letter G, be responsible for ordering ASUCR clothing and other items for all members of Senate staff, interns, freshmen, fellows, and anyone else considered a part of the organization. Letter L, call such special meetings of the Senate as they may deem necessary. Letter M, failure to conduct and organize the annual swearing-in ceremony for all newly elected ASUCR officials. Letter N, failure to designate, motivate, and organize the senators, and the involvement of student advocacy within the ASUCR. Letter P, failure to be responsible for holding one-on-one meeting with each senator at least once a quarter to discuss performance, goals, organization, and assist senators in executing plans. Q, be well versed in parliamentary procedure using Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised as the governing rules unless otherwise specified. And letter R, be responsible for planning and executing the fall and winter retreats. A breach of closed session in which a recording was taken during an executive closed session where senators and the elections committee were asked to remain in the Senate chambers. However, a phone was left in the Senate chambers recording the entire meeting. This has been verified through various channels, and that was also one of the reasons up for censure.
Thank you, Devin. The next item on our agenda was collaboration, but Senator Jackie Jacoby is out, so we'll move on to public comment. If anyone in the gallery would like to step up, I'll hand you the mic to respond to anything that you've heard.
Hi, I'm George Payne, poli-sci, third year. I just had a quick question as regards to the appeals. They can apply individually, right? Yes, or do they have to apply as a whole party?
Oh yeah, Jessica Arvidas.
So I'm guessing, just based on what I believe the question is being asked, if there are individuals that are part of a specific group or affiliation, are they able to appeal? And if so, how are they able to appeal individually? If you wanted to just
explain the process.
The party signatory has to appeal if the strike was given to the party because they are designated with all the power and responsibility for that party. If an individual was given a strike, the individual may appeal for circumstances in which individuals receive strikes because of the party, because of the bylaw we stated earlier that if a violation occurs during elections week, everybody receives it. That also has to go to the party signatory. So it's not individual appeals for those strikes, it's the party signatory appealing on behalf of the party.
Thank you.
Vice President, can't just
Obviously, there's not too much that I have to say right now. I didn't know this was going to happen, and evidently none of you knew this was going to happen before the meeting started. It's really unfortunate this occurred under these specific circumstances, so it's an extremely bittersweet feeling. Especially for me. So again, I'll keep this short. I'll try to do the job justice for as long as I'm the temporary substitute for the Vice President of Internal Affairs. So thank you.
Take a seat.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short. I have an 8 a.m. tomorrow. I personally want to say, and on behalf of a lot of people in this gallery, thank you to the members of the Horseshoe who took this even into consideration, let alone voted on it. It's probably way easier for some of you to just say, screw it, you're here for 4 or 5 more weeks and it's done and it's behind you. But setting up this precedence of justice and integrity in ASUCR is going to be remembered for years, and you've really shown why you're elected in your office. And so thank you for, on my behalf, and again, I know I'm speaking for some people in this gallery that this is great, and you've really brought integrity back to the office.
Hi.
Okay, so I'll introduce myself again. Noreen, third year neuroscience. And I wanted to ask for the allocated budgets that are for the student organizations, are they decided by the ASUCR Senate?
What student org allocated budgets?
Yeah, so what the allocation money is used for, are they decided by the Senate?
It depends on what, because there's different funds for.
The general allocations.
How do I explain this? Your org comes to a finance hearing to present a proposed budget that's, or like made by your.
Oh, right.
Finance, like treasurer.
Yeah, but like the list that ASUCR has for
Uh-huh.
what allocation money can be used for and what the limits are. Is that decided here?
That's within the bylaws.
It's within the finance.
So there's, yes.
So it is decided here?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask if certain changes are made to the list of what the student orgs can use the allocation for. Is it possible for student orgs to go ahead and change their budget reports as well because of those new changes that have been made? Or
After it's been voted on through Senate, you can't change your line items.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Arlene Angulo, third year political science major. I had a question concerning the old executive vice president, Michael Irving. It was, said that he had his strikes with his current candidacy that he's running for. But if he were to appeal this and it were to go through and, he were by any chance elected, would he still be able to take office even though he was just impeached for this position? Censured, sorry, for this position.
I think that's a question that election director Stephanie Rose could answer.
Yes, he could. I don't know if you need any further clarification, but the candidacy or the election results that have not been announced yet don't have any effect or connection to anything that happens in office right now. So yes, somebody can be censured for holding a position right now, and then if the results are released and they win, then yes, they can be put into office for that position.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Desiree. I actually ran with the political party Our Voice, and I personally came in with no strikes or violations, but from what I'm understanding is that since our party was, I basically disqualified for all those, there's nothing that I can do personally to go against the violations that were committed against me. Well, against our party in general, sorry.
Your party signatory is responsible for appealing. You can consult with your party signatory. I apologize, that's the way it's written in the bylaws. The party signatory is responsible for the party and the party strikes. Therefore, you can consult with her and you can come up with the best plan of action. Just as a reminder, those appeals are due tomorrow by 5 p.m. to the justices. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not an individual appeal process. It's through the party signatory.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other comments, we'll move to our next item on the agenda, roundtable and announcements. We'll start to my left, Senator Ali Isles. Senator Priscilla.
The kindness flyers that Delaney and I have been working on will officially be up next week, so that's exciting.
I just had two quick announcements. The first one is I want to thank everybody that came out to South Asian Federation's candlelight vigil for the victims of the Nepali earthquake. It really does mean a lot. And South Asian Federation, I believe, and maybe Raveen can elaborate, we're currently working on a donation effort in which we're going to get wristbands, sell them. All proceeds will go towards the relief efforts for the victims of the earthquake. And then secondly, Sixth Student Association is going to hold their quarterly Turban Day, week 8, Wednesday. I hope everybody participates again. Thank you.
I don't have any specific updates. If you haven't watched Mrs. Packard and for the theater department, that is happening this week. The show times are at 7 o'clock and then on Saturday at 8 p.m. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And secondly, I wanted to address, I've been appointed as the acting president. And I just wanted to thank the galley for coming out and speaking out about your feelings and how you really felt about the association and where it's headed. And I just wanted to assure you that we are going to continue to thrive and that we will solve anything and we will resolve any further conflicts and we will continue to move forward because that is our duty as elected representatives. We are not going to just look back and make this a stain in our association. We're going to work actively towards reclaiming our name and as well as working for the students and only for the students.
I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say on the podium, so pass.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that came out, and also thank you to those of you that have continued to show your support for the individuals on this horseshoe, or at least just been respectful to the members of the horseshoe. So thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you all for staying. I also want to thank Abraham, Val, pro staff, and the front desk staff for helping us get our Releasing Misconceptions event ready today. I also want to thank everyone that came out today and wrote your misconceptions about feminism on a balloon and then released them. Thank you so much. Our final event to wrap up Feminism Awareness Week is tomorrow. We have a movie under the stars /sun because it's 6 p.m. We'll be screening Misrepresentation, and it's a film that explores underrepresentation of women in positions of power and challenges the media's limited portrayal of what it means to be a powerful woman. This will be at 6 p.m. at the Bell Tower North Lawn. We'll have snacks and drinks, lemonade and stuff like that. Please come out. We also have our photo campaign still going on. You can come see me after, or Reem or Summer or Christian, and we can get your information if you want to participate in the photo campaign. And thank you to everyone that's come to the events thus far. It's been really successful, in my opinion, and we hope to see you all tomorrow.
Hey everyone, thanks for still sticking around. Just a couple announcements, as Herman said, for South Asian Federation. We're still continuing our efforts in helping out the victims of the Nepali earthquake. So we do have wristbands ordered. They should be coming in tomorrow. So through the next couple of weeks, you'll see our tables outside. Multiple organizations will be passing them out. If you're part of an organization and you'd like to help us sell these wristbands, please let myself or Herman know. We'd really appreciate that. In addition, South Asian Federation is having their second Chai Talk. That's going to be next Tuesday. We're going to be exploring gender roles in South Asian communities, both abroad and in South Asian countries. I definitely encourage all of you to come out. We will have chai as well, so that's always a nice plus. In addition, on Wednesday, we will be tabling. We are starting a new kind of hashtag campaign called Respect the Bindi. It's talking about cultural appropriation and how you can get some knowledge and be educated about different South Asian icons or different traditions or different things that South Asian communities have and learn about them. So in addition to that, we will be doing henna, and all the proceeds from the henna are also going to our Nepali relief efforts, and we will also be selling bindis, but you have to listen to a little spiel about them first, and then you can get it. So please come on out, it'll be a great event. Thank you.
Hi everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, and I apologize, as I know that the elections have been a point of contention throughout this entire meeting and week. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming forward with their concerns and their comments, and thank you for asking questions. If you do need further clarification, you can always stop by in the office to see me, or you can email asucrelections@ucr.edu. And I'd also like to announce on a happier note that we have the results in terms of voter turnout for the elections. So I'm happy to announce that we had a total of 6,072 votes, which is 35.1%. So thank you to all the candidates, parties, pro groups, con groups, organizations, student groups, and students that went out and encouraged everyone to vote. I greatly appreciate it.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for sticking around. If y'all know, at every Senate meeting I have a ton of announcements, so don't think I'm just trying to keep it longer. So just this week, thank you all to those who have been participating in different events, specifically Semana de la Raza. We have our events continuing with this Friday. We have a Radio Aslan concert. Y'all can stop by CSP or in the ticket box office if y'all wanted to come. We also have Polet's banquet. It's a fundraising effort for undocumented students. It's providing opportunities, dreams, and education in Riverside, and all proceeds will fund scholarships for undocumented students. So if y'all wanted more information about that, I have flyers here. Also, I know that Asian Pacific Islander Student Programs is having their Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, so they're having a bunch of events all month long, and I hope that everybody is able to attend these events. I know it's a whole month long, so y'all can at least try to make one. I know they have a film screening tomorrow, so that's another event. And then this Saturday, Native American Student Programs is having their Medicine Ways conference, and it's focusing on the revitalization of Native languages, and that's going to take place in Hub 302. So thank y'all. And outreach meetings are going to be Fridays.
Pass.
Get some sleep, please.
I have a few. So the consent petitions are going out. Stop by the office if you want to sign some of those. We're going to be tabling if you want to sign the consent petition. Peer-to-peer education is getting started. We started the group for that. It's been really awesome. Yay for that. And Feminism Awareness Week, please come out to our event tomorrow and join in the photo campaign, like said. I really wanted to thank everyone for staying this late, and to all the people who are new to ASUCR as a whole and maybe came to this as their first meeting. I encourage you to look into a lot of the other things that have been going on and other ways that you can get involved and the committees that you can join in different avenues in ASUCR.
Hello, everybody. So I just want to briefly mention what was mentioned earlier about updating the elections code. So as a member of the elections committee, I just want everybody to know that if you have any problems specifically with the elections code, because I know there are some things that I would personally change if I could, we will be kind of revising those hopefully in the near future. And if you have any input at all, you can talk to myself, you can talk to any member of the elections committee, and you can also talk to the elections director. We'll be more than happy to at least take into consideration and see what we can do to rewrite the bylaws as best as possible, so that things like this don't necessarily happen again. And I just cannot stress that enough. If you feel like there's some problems with it, please talk to us. We're more than willing to work with it. I mean, we represent you all, so we just want to make sure that this is democratic and as representative as possible for everybody. And with that, good luck with exams and have a good night.
Thank you, Jason, and everyone on the Horseshoe. The next item on our agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Devin Plaza.
I move to adjourn.
Second. Elections Director Stephanie Rose. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Okay. All those opposed?
Oh, but I abstain.
Okay, opposed, 0, and abstain, 1. So, with a vote of 9, 0, 1, this meeting is adjourned.
This back. Where was